Alright guys, so I thought I'd give you another example. This one where you're seeing a function that starts at the midline and then has a minimum. So this time it's a little different because we're starting with the midline and then we're going to a minimum. So normally we think of sine starting at the midline and that it goes up to its maximum a quarter of the way, but this time a little bit backwards. We're starting at the midline and instead we're going to go to our minimum. So this actually would be, if you continue the function out, it would then finish up the valley, then go through the hill, and it would be negative sine. Compared to if we start in the midline and go up, that would be positive sine. So let's go ahead and put our two values. So we're going to have 0, 2 is our starting value, 0, 2, that's the midline, and then a minimum of 3, negative 6. And so that's a quarter of our curve there. And if you were to finish out the rest of it, it would go like that. So let's go ahead. It's going to have the basic function or basic equation of negative a sine of bx plus c plus d. So this time it's negative because it's flipped upside down. It's a sine curve flipped upside down, starting with the valley instead of with the hill. So let's go ahead and find a, b. We're not shifting left to right, so we'll just ignore c for now, and d. So we're going to go with a, b, and d. So d is always easy. It's the midline. They tell us in the beginning that the midline is 2. You can see that there, the midline 0, 2. It's the y value 2, so we know that d is 2. That's easy. The distance from the midline to the bottom would be our amplitude. You can count it. This point is 3, negative 6. That's a total of 8 away. Or you can always subtract 2 minus negative 6, and you would get 8. So our amplitude is 8. Last, we have the period. So this is a quarter of the way. This is 1/4 of the way. From 0 to 3 is a quarter of the way. So a quarter of our period is 3. So that means our entire period would be 12 because you just multiply that by 4 to get the entire length of the period. That's how long it takes to get through one cycle. That's how long it would take to go through all the way like that before it repeats itself. So what we're going to do, we don't want the period exactly, we want b. So we know that 2 pi over b is our period, which is 12. So I'm going to put this over 1, cross multiply to get 12b equals 2 pi. Divide the 12 and get b is pi over 6. Now that we have that information, we can complete our answer. So our function will be negative 8 sine of pi over 6x plus 2.